seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. All the band is out on the field. That's another knockdown. You know, Jim. He got up. You believe in miracles? Yes.
The All Things Sport Podcast with your hosts, Damian Banks and Pierre Banks on Speaker Radio.
What's happening? What's up? What's going on? It's the All Things Sport Podcast, and I am your host, Damian Banks, broadcasting to you from beautiful Banks Boys Studios right here in Durham, North Carolina. It's ATS, as I affectionately call it, the All Things Sport Podcast, where I give you, the listener, all things sport. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, another week has passed. Sports is life. I'm telling you, sports is life. And this week, oh my God, sports is so life. I hope you guys had a great week. Welcome you back, the new listeners. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for showing that support to all my new listeners. Come on in. The door is wide open. You know I got to do it, so I'm going to do it. Follow your boy on Instagram and Twitter at Sports by Damian. That's SportsBydamion. Or you can simply go to the website, banksboy.com, download this podcast, download all the other older podcasts. We have a YouTube channel on there. There are 2 blogs. I have a blog. Pierre, my brother, he has a blog on there. You can follow Pierre on Instagram and Twitter as well. N_my_humble. The website is really interactive and it's free. You can't beat free. Yeah, $0. You don't have to pay a single penny to view our sports media content. Again, the website is banksboy.com. We really appreciate your support. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, sports is life, and I'm here to breathe life into your sports world. We got a lot going on in the show this week. Hot topics, NBA. We have college basketball on the women's side. We have college basketball on the men's side. We have so much going on. Major League Baseball just started. So let me go ahead and get into it. You know I got to do this first. Let me take a swig of this natural spring water. Now, this natural spring water is from Harris Teeter, which I usually buy my spring water from. But this one is from a protected spring in Alton, Virginia. So shout out to Virginia, man. I went to Virginia State University, so I got a lot of love for Virginia, man. Virginia is for lovers. So shout out to the state of Virginia. Let me take a swig of this natural spring water. Okay. Yeah, I like that. Let's do it. Hot topics. Got a lot of them for you this evening, ladies and gentlemen. What can I start? Oh, yeah. NBA. You know the NBA is popping 10 right now. About 10 games left in the regular season. It's going down in a major way. In the Western Conference, the Golden State Warriors, they're hot once again on a 10-game winning streak after going through their rough patch, a 2-5 patch after Kevin Durant's knee injury. They were struggling a little bit for that short little stretch, but the Warriors seem to be back on track after winning 10 games in a row. Steph Curry is stepping back into the lead dog role for the Warriors. Now, how will this affect Kevin Durant once he comes back from his injury? There are reports that the Warriors are going to bring back Kevin Durant this Saturday. Now, the Warriors currently have a 3.5 game lead over the San Antonio Spurs in the Western Conference, and they just played the Spurs last week, overcame a 22-point first half deficit to get a 12-point victory over the Spurs. So looks like the Golden State Warriors have gotten their act together. They are back playing fantastic basketball. Going to be a really good final stretch for the regular season going into the postseason in the Western Conference. The Spurs are playing well. The Houston Rockets are playing well. The Clippers are getting healthy. Blake Griffin, Chris Paul, that duo added with DeAndre Jordan, that 3-headed monster, makes the Clippers really dangerous. The Western Conference is going to be a dogfight, ladies and gentlemen. But I want to talk to you about the Eastern Conference. LeBron James, you said it. Yeah, you heard it. LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers, man, they're treading water right now. Sit a half game behind the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference. Now, these two teams play Wednesday in Boston. And the Cleveland Cavaliers, they've been kind of in a rut lately. Not kind of, they have been in a rut, man. Since the All-Star break, the Cavs are kind of going through the motions, maybe trying to get ready and try to fast forward the rest of the regular season into the playoffs. Now, this past Sunday, there was a game between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Indiana Pacers, in which the Cavs did pull out a double overtime win. Bron went for a triple-double, 43, 12, and 10, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that numbers, but he did have a triple-double. And that wasn't the most interesting thing from that game. Bron wasn't happy with his teammate Tristan Thompson during that game, man. They had a visible shouting match on the court and on the sideline after head coach Tyronn Lue had called a timeout. Now, let me give you a little breakdown on how these two begin that argument. Cleveland had a 1-point lead late in regulation. Paul George for the Indiana Pacers was cooking. He was hot. Tristan Thompson fouled him on a jump shot late in regulation. Lucky for the Cavaliers that Paul George, a 94% free throw shooter, only made one of those free throws, sending the game into the first overtime. And LeBron was pretty peeved. He was pretty perturbed. Yeah, perturbed, a big word. I went to college. Look it up. LeBron was pretty perturbed about that Tristan Thompson foul. So in the second overtime, Tristan Thompson, apparently he didn't call out a pick or something of that nature. Miles Turner for the Indiana Pacers set a hard pick on LeBron James, and LeBron didn't like it, and he let Tristan Thompson know about it. Arguments ensued between the two players. They were screaming at the top of their lungs at each other on the sidelines. They couldn't be contained. Tristan Thompson couldn't be calmed down. And to LeBron's credit, after the game, he said that he was wrong. He shouldn't have called out Tristan Thompson in the middle of the game. He shouldn't do that. He shouldn't show up his teammates. And he apologized. And Tristan Thompson was asked about that after the game. And Tristan Thompson simply said that we're family. And he left it at that. Now, what this means to me is that the Cleveland Cavaliers, they are ready for the playoffs to start. And I'm ready for the playoffs to start in the NBA. It's going to be fantastic in the Eastern Conference. The Celtics are playing really well. The Washington Wizards behind John Wall and Bradley Beal, they're playing pretty good basketball. And the Eastern Conference, you know it's going to go through Cleveland, regardless if Cleveland has the home court advantage throughout the Eastern Conference playoffs or not. They have the best player on the planet in LeBron James on their team. So if you want to represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals, you got to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like Ric Flair said, to be the best, you got to beat the best. And you have to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers if you want to represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals. So about 9-10 games left in the regular season. Teams are jockeying for playoff position. Going to be a great finish to the regular season heading into the NBA playoffs. And I just can't wait, man. I'm a huge NBA fan. And the playoffs is, again, like I said before in previous podcasts, the playoffs is where legends are born and where legends are solidified. LeBron James wants to go back-to-back. If he goes back-to-back with the Cleveland Cavaliers, you can kiss the baby, as Ocho Cinco would say. He's going to go down as one of the top 3 players in NBA history. But that remains to be seen. I'll be talking about the NBA playoffs in the coming weeks on the All Things Sport podcast. So much hot topics. I told you. I tried to tell you, man. What else we got in the world of hot topics? Oh, yeah. I'm a brother, strong black man. But don't get it twisted. I love baseball. Opening day of the baseball season was this past weekend, and Monday was the opening day for everyone in Major League Baseball. Last season's champion, the Chicago Cubs, ended their long-suffering drought of a World Series title, knocking off the Cleveland Indians, who are still looking for their first World Series in forever. Now, can the Cubs repeat? It's going to be difficult for the Cubs to repeat. No team has repeated in the Major League Baseball since the 98 New York Yankees. The Yankees won 3 straight World Series from 98 to 2000. Could have won 4 in a row, but the Arizona Diamondbacks and, Luis Gonzalez got that bloop hit in 2001, and they won that World Series. So no team in Major League Baseball has repeated as champions since then. Can the Cardinals challenge the Chicago Cubs? St. Louis is always tough. Now, the Cubs are young, so they don't have to worry about injuries too much. They were pretty healthy last year. Can they be healthy again this year? The St. Louis Cardinals are going to challenge them. Who else in the out west can challenge the Chicago Cubs? Can the LA Dodgers put it all together this season? Can Yasiel Puig, shed his knucklehead status? Can Corey Seager build on his Rookie of the Year honors? Is Clayton Kershaw going to be a great Clayton Kershaw in the regular season and be a suspect Clayton Kershaw in the playoffs? All that remains to be seen. Now, on the American League side of things, you know me. I'm a huge Baltimore Orioles fan. Big league. Love the Baltimore Orioles, man. I've been a Baltimore Orioles fan since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. I've been a Baltimore Orioles fan since Brady Anderson had the pork chop sideburns. Now you ask me, Damian, why are you a Baltimore Orioles fan? Well, I'll tell you. When I was a kid, we did not have cable television. I grew up in Turnkey 3, Birchwood Heights, better known as, and we didn't have cable television. So the Atlanta Braves played on Ted Turner's station, TBS. We didn't have TBS, but the Baltimore Orioles played on local NBC 17. So I became a Baltimore Orioles fan. Brady Anderson was my favorite player growing up. I did love Rafael Palmeiro. Still love him. Still love Rafi. I love Mike Mussina before he defected to the New York Yankees. And I love Cal Ripken Jr. So I'm a big Baltimore Orioles fan. Hope that they can put it all together this year and come out of the American League East. It's loaded. The Boston Red Sox are good once again. The Toronto Blue Jays, they're going to be good. Their lineup is killer. You got Joey Bats, Jose Bautista knocking out home runs left and right. Troy Tulowitzki going yard on the reg. The Toronto Blue Jays have a killer lineup, but I'm rooting for my Baltimore Orioles. You already know what it is, man. Now, also in the American League, can the Cleveland Indians represent the American League again in the World Series? They returned most of their players, so Cleveland's going to be good again this year. But the Texas Rangers have something to say about that. Major League Baseball season is so long, man. It starts in April and goes all the way until like October, man, like November, basically. So it's a long season, 180 some odd games, 160 some odd games or something like that. I don't know the exact amount. Give me a break, man. I cover all things sport, but the season is muy long, which in Spanish means very. Look it up. And you gotta stay patient with your teams. You can't give up on your teams, man. Your team can start off slow and they can go on a run. Baseball season is so long that you gotta be patient. It's gonna be a long season. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. Told you, man. We got so many hot topics. I told you. It's basketball season. The college basketball season is winding down. It's March Madness. Now, the ladies, they just had their national championship game. The Final Four was the Stanford Cardinal, the South Carolina Gamecocks, the Mississippi State Bulldogs, and the UConn Lady Huskies. Now, everyone and their mama had UConn and South Carolina playing in a national championship game. But the Lady Bulldogs of Mississippi State had other ideas. They broke UConn's 111-game winning streak on a 2-point overtime win when Morgan Williams pulled up on that beautiful foul line jumper as time expired. Now, in last week's podcast, I thought that UConn would lose to South Carolina in the national championship game, but Mississippi State took care of that for me. UConn hadn't lost in 865 days. They hadn't lost since November the 17th, 2014. That's a long time, man. 111 games. And the games, most of the time, they weren't even close, man. UConn usually drags people, man. They usually win by 30, 40 points. But Mississippi State had great defense, and they came away with that win. It wasn't a fluke. They had a double-digit lead throughout that game, and UConn came back to force overtime. So kudos and shout-outs to Mississippi State, man. They took down the champs. And in the other game, South Carolina, they held up their end of the bargain. They beat Stanford. And that set up a national championship game between Mississippi State and South Carolina. These two teams are from the Southeastern Conference. Now, the championship game was round 3 for these two teams. South Carolina had beaten Mississippi State twice during the regular season, and they always say that it's really hard to beat the same team 3 times in a row. Now, round 3 went much like the first 2 games. South Carolina's defense stifled the Lady Bulldogs of Mississippi State, and Aja Wilson